Hi, good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Elliot Zisman, for those that don't know me. I'm the founder of Phase2, and I'm going to talk and present for about 20-30 minutes about how to win clients while working from home. There are quite a few people on the call, so if you've got questions, please either, if you maybe use the chat box, and if they can wait, save them to the end. But if I'm unclear with anything, please just unmute yourself and ask for clarity, because I don't want to go too fast or too quickly or anything like that. So yeah, but overall, I hope it's a useful session. The first thing really I like to sort of start with is talking about who this webinar is for. So, you know, there's a lot of probably different people on this call, but in general, I'm hoping or expecting that you are people that all need to find new clients for your business. You're not necessarily full-time salespeople, although we're all really in sales, to be fair. And maybe you're probably not full-time marketing people either. You may also not have a huge marketing budget, but you've got to get this right. Even especially at this time, you've got to maximize your time, find new clients, and keep business going. So if that is you, then hopefully this will be a helpful session. First of all, a little bit about us as a company. Phase 2 has been going for around 18 months now and specializes in helping businesses grow, primarily by using modern technology, automation tools, and LinkedIn. Just to give you a bit of a feel, in the first quarter of this year, our clients have sent invites to over 120,000 people on LinkedIn, of which around 30,000 invites have been accepted, and over 6,000 conversations were started with potential customers. So I like to think we've understood how to get LinkedIn working for people. There's two of us on this call today, myself and Katie, to help answer any of your questions as they arise. So with that done, I'm going to start, primarily we are talking about LinkedIn, but before we talk about how we recommend you use it, I just want to spend a few minutes on why it's a good tool. Does anyone remember how they were winning clients before in those distant pre-corona days? I know it feels like a long time ago now, but you know, it was things like we were all doing networking events and trade shows, lunches and drinks and coffee meetings, as well as plenty online, I'm sure. And unfortunately, at least for a while, a great deal of this is now not available to us. In fact, just looking at those pictures, they seem from a very, very far away place where people are shaking hands and doing weird things like that. So now we need to look at new ways of doing things. Now, these are 5 different options you've got to find new clients. If I've missed something obvious, please do let me know. But hopefully these are kind of the main things. And let's tick off a few things here. First of all, asking for referrals, yes, do it. Contacting those in your database, yes, definitely. In fact, many of you heard about this call today because we used our database of people that have previously spoken to or engaged with in some way or other. Advertising through maybe paying, traditionally paying newspapers or paying for a search, Google or Facebook or LinkedIn to drive traffic to your website and therefore generate inbound inquiries. I would say if you've already got a program running and it works, continue to do it now. Marketing through a downturn is really, really critical. People still want your services on the whole, and they need to know you're still around, so that when the uptick comes, they know to contact you. However, I would say that if you've not got a paid for advertising plan in place, you're probably best advised to engage a specialist agency to help design it. Otherwise, it could be really expensive and not generate the ROI that you're looking for. Um, the next on the list, search engine optimization, SEO. That's where you get free traffic from ranking high on Google. Again, great to do in many, many instances, but this can take a long time to get to the #1 spot or #2 or 3 spot. So unless you're already trying this, this isn't going to help you in the long term. It won't help you in the current situation. Which leaves us with two areas that I really want to focus on, which is social media postings and direct outreach. So social media postings, this is seemingly free to do. You've got Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, plus others that may be relevant to your business. And you can write articles. You can put your opinions, you can record videos with ideas and white papers and surveys, comment on others. And it is useful for brand building and to show that you're a thought leader and you know what you're talking about. But a word of warning here, it is very time consuming, or it can be very time consuming, and you shouldn't expect too much response. Marketing people will always tell you, look, you've got to be on the time, you've got to on there all the time, post things daily, comment on people. But in my view, if you value your time, I wouldn't do it. It will work if you have a huge presence and people reshare and repost, but I'm not a Kardashian. No one's resharing and reposting my stuff to millions of people. And I kind of find that even though I've got 9,000 connections on LinkedIn and my posts get viewed, I don't win clients that way. So it is a useful thing to do maybe once or twice a month, but don't do this every single day. On the other side of this slide, there is direct outreach. So there's really 3 ways you can get in touch with people at the moment: email, phone, and LinkedIn messaging. Each of those has ups and downs depending on who you're targeting. For example, there's no point, if your clients are on LinkedIn, then great. If they are more the kind of people that just get constant stream of phone calls and emails, they're not going to take that. So you've got to vary it a bit. We tend to find that LinkedIn messaging will work best when your people you want to speak to are in front of a computer regularly. It's very good value. People do respond to it. Email is cheap, but there's so much stuff that gets blocked from spam filters, and calling can be really effective at times, but is very, very time consuming. Actually, the best thing to do is try and mix all these 3 things together if you have time to do that. Send someone an email on the LinkedIn at the same time so people recognize that the email's from a human being. And then maybe message them if they accept on LinkedIn, send them a follow-up email after that, and look at how they're engaging with you. So if people are clicking on an email, accepting your LinkedIn, opening up messages, those are the right people to call. But it is quite a complex system to set up. That's the ideal situation, I guess. But if you want the advice, and I guess what we're here to talk about on just one thing to do, and that's that's where we are here. This is about outreach, direct outreach over LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is not, I'm not saying that LinkedIn is the right tool to use because it's a B2B platform. In fact, many of our customers are people who are in the wealth management industry, IFAs, that are connecting with people because they're individuals, not to target them as companies. I think it's the best tool because it's actually, you can invite these people directly. You can then send them a message if they accept. And that's what's powerful. You can't really message people directly on Facebook unless, well, you sort of can, but it just hits a weird spam folder. And yes, you can follow people on Twitter, but it's not quite the same. And the reason we like these direct messages is that it's a one-to-one connection rather than posting, which is a kind of more of a broadcast, a one-to-many. So it can be much more personal. They do get through email filters, and there are ways, and we'll talk about that briefly of automating it to save you a huge amount of time. So that's hopefully covering the why we would recommending using LinkedIn. And we're now going to turn to the how, the right way of going about things. And we've put together 10 top tips. So we'll go through them one by one. And the first one is about your own LinkedIn profile. So we've invested a lot of, in getting the right expertise to ensure that our team's profiles and those of our clients are the most effective they can be. I would say, it's about making sure that the headline, the messaging, and the content of the profile is a really effective sales tool. This shouldn't just be your CV saying where you've worked. Certainly the top half of your profile should be about making sure you talk about who you can help and how you can help them. If you get this right, you have a much, much higher response rate to all your messages because people do check it out first. The second thing is using a tool called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It allows you to really accurately find your ideal customers using various filters. It costs about £50 a month, but it really, really is worth it. Thirdly, once you've got that all set up, look to connect to about 50 to 100 people per day. Now, initially, if you've only got, say, 400 or 500 connections, scale that back until you've got about 1,500. But once you've got going with that, then getting to 50 to 100 people a day means that in a given month, you'll be connecting to 2,000 people. And of those, what we find is 20 to 30% of people will accept your invite, meaning that you're going to have 500 new connections every month and 500 people that you really want to speak to. Now, that may not be appropriate for everyone on the call. It may be that you've only got 200 people that you need to speak to, in which case, take more time to personalize those messages and take more time to go back to what we were talking about earlier with email and LinkedIn at the same time. But if you've got tens of thousands of potential customers, or certainly more than 5,000, getting those invites out regularly each day is a really strong idea. The next thing to talk about is getting the messaging right. There's definitely the right ways and wrong ways to get the messaging set up. Don't try to sell. LinkedIn isn't the place for that. Just explain, as we've said, who you help, how you help them, maybe link to a place where they can find out more information. But people aren't stupid. If you're clear about what you do and they have the need, they'll reply and they'll start to engage. So you don't need to be over pushy, certainly not on LinkedIn. Yeah. Fifth, look at tailoring your messages to the different accounts or geographies. And I talk about personalizing at scale. So you pick a niche and you find the messages that resonate with that particular niche of maybe 500 to 1,000 people. There's no need to over personalize. So to give an example, we'll send a message saying, we do a lot of work with business owners in Manchester. So we've therefore recognized that we've got a filter there that says we're going to target business owners in Manchester, and people will think, oh, they're talking to me. You don't need to say, oh, I want to connect because I went to school with your mum's cousin's gardener and therefore I think we're really well connected. That's just a bit creepy. Personalize at scale is the right in that way. And also A/B test things. Try out, once you've got their sort of set of targets, try out different messages and measure which resonate the most. So maybe, split them into, A and B. And for the A set, say, look, we can help you do X and achieve that. And for the other set, we can help you do Y. And then just see which ones resonate. It's a really good example of testing your marketing messages overall. Number 7, not everyone will reply instantly. So remarket to them, retarget to them, and because they may be ready further down the line to engage with you. Just because they weren't ready then doesn't mean they won't be ready in the future. And I think this is where posting online occasionally can help, because your new connections, the ones that are relevant to you now, will see them and maybe get to know who you are. You can also, what we look to do and recommend people do, is message people with a link to the content they'd find interesting. And it's a really, really good reason to get back in touch. Hey, we just posted this white paper, which I thought you might find of interest. And that way, it's an excuse to speak to them again. Once someone connects, you can see often their mobile number and their email address. Not all the time, but they will share that many times. It's a very GDPR friendly way of getting this information because they've given it to you, and use it to follow up with them as appropriate. If you have a customer relationship management system like Salesforce or HubSpot, bring all of the information from LinkedIn and who you've been speaking to into that system to centralize that data. There are tools available that can help you do it, and we'll happily give you some ideas of how to do that after the call if you're interested. And finally, in terms of these sort of top 10 tips, measure everything. Data nowadays is key. And if you're operating at this kind of scale, if you're able to connect to 50 to, or invite 50 to 100 people every day and 2,000 a month and have 500 new connections, you could be getting some really interesting feedback. You will get people reply, and there'll be things which are working and things which aren't working. If you measure, you can do more of one and less of the other. And I think that will drive your future success on LinkedIn. So that's how to use LinkedIn. Before we kind of do more of a kind of open it up thing, there was we put in the agenda about using some other tools to help make everything useful for you, particularly Calendly and Zoom, which is really how we kind of came to be on this call. We set up a Calendly, it's set up you clicked on it, you set up the Zoom, and we're all here. My life was a lot like ping pong before that. You'd be looking to emailing someone saying, hey, can we do next Monday? Can we speak next Monday at 2? Or I could do, Wednesday at 3 or 4 or 5, and then wait. And then they'd come back to you and go, yeah, I can do Wednesday at 3. And by which stage, of course, someone else had taken Wednesday at 3. And you go back, oh, no, I can't do Wednesday at 3. What about next Thursday at 2? And it would go backwards and forwards. And then you'd say, well, oh, shall I call you? Oh, no, hold on. I want my other colleague to be on this call. So shall we do a conference call? And it was an absolute pain. But now it's all gone. We give people, if someone we're reaching out to someone saying, can we talk? We give them a link. If someone says, can we have a meeting? We give them a link. It's saved on my phone, on all our team's phones. We've got there's a one-click button that Calendly provides you. And it just says, sure, pick a time that suits you, calendly.com/Fade2Growth, and then it just pops in. We then sync that with Zoom. You can sync it with GoToMeeting, whatever you prefer to use, and it automatically sets up the call. It's really just so much more efficient. In fact, what we've now started to do is if someone wants a phone call, engages with one of our messages and they book it through Calendly, and then it sets up the Zoom, it also syncs with our CRM. So it sets up an opportunity in the system. It then opens up a task for one of the sales team to follow up the next day and make sure we've sent the proposal out if appropriate. So not only is this saving us a whole load of time from backwards and forwards, but it's meaning we just don't miss opportunities because we're using this automation and this flow from A to B to C to D, just to make sure everything's as efficient as it can be. Again, more than happy to sort of go through that offline. I say offline, everything will be online for a bit, but you know what I mean, to help explain and help you guys set that up if that's helpful. A few things to note. Zoom costs 10 quid. Calendly costs about 10 quid as well. If you just have the free Zoom, after 40 minutes, it will cut off the meeting, which is really kind of annoying. So I would recommend that as an investment. And also, if you're opening up your diary for people to book, block out time. If you're going, when the time comes to go to a meeting and you need time to travel, or when you want to have some lunch or help your kids do homeschooling or what have you, then block it out, because otherwise people will just go back to back to back to back, and that can be a little bit tiring. So remember to do that. Is this only for the lockdown? No. We've been doing this now for about a year, and we find it really useful for those initial calls. Just want to check with the right fit rather than going straight into a meeting. Don't get me wrong, when we can, having those face-to-faces are just great, but we kind of suggest that stage 2, let's have that initial conversation online, 20 minutes, just to make sure that we're all on the same page and whether we can help you or we're the right fit for you, that kind of thing. Or if people just want to have a quick catch up, a video call, nowadays it's very, very efficient. So we're going to continue using this. Have those face-to-faces when we can, or when it's necessary. But, means we can get way more meetings in a day. We can have meetings across the UK, across the world, even just back to back. And it's a really, really efficient way of doing things. So this is really sort of the final bit of advice. Common pitfalls. Automation for LinkedIn. There's lots of tools out there, but be careful. The cheaper ones are using an extension for Chrome. LinkedIn don't like you doing this. It's not illegal. You're not going to get arrested. But if they find you do it, then they'll ask you to stop. If you continue doing it, they may pause your account. These extensions, they know exactly who's using it. We've got a tool that runs a script in the background in our own cloud with a certain IP address that they don't know about, and it's very much hidden. So just be really careful if you're using some cheaper tools, because LinkedIn will know about it. As I've said before, this is a networking platform. Don't be too salesy. Talk to people as if you're at an event. Try and be useful to them, and recognize that if you can add some value in the written messaging, that would be good. Say to them, look, you recently wrote these tips on how to invest after a pandemic. Thought it might find it useful. This is how we help people. If you'd like to find out some more or chat some more, here's my Calendly link. Book a time. Thirdly, get the cadence right. I rarely block people on LinkedIn, but I did when a guy was messaging me pretty much every other day, asking, to set up a call. I would say every 3 or 4 months is probably about right. Again, the automation systems can help just do that in a certain way, as long as they stop when people reply. And then recognize that as much as we love technology, I certainly do, also be mindful of the fact that some people may just want to pick up the phone or have a normal meeting. So make sure you offer that. Don't get too sucked into it. Finally, I hope you permit me just for 1 minute just to do a quick sales pitch on who we are and what we do before we open up to Q&A. We offer a managed service that can help you get 10 to 20 virtual meetings with people you want to speak to each month. The work we do is we help you find your ideal clients, write the messages, and then we sync your profile to our system, sending out all those invites that we've talked about. When people connect, we'll send them another little message, and then we'll repeat that, nurture them, and we stop doing it. When they reply, you pick up the conversation to qualify them in or out, as opposed to what's right for you. It's normally £500 a month, but if you sign up before Dominic Raab extends the lockdown even further, then we'll make it £400 a month for the first 3 months. But of course, you can stop at any time. And it does work. People are, the more invites that go out, the more messages that come back in. Normally, our clients would be getting maybe 100 messages a month come back, of which maybe 10 to 20 would be really, really good ones. So that could be up to one a day. And it's a very efficient way of getting your message out there. So if you'd like to find out more, we'll get in touch with you after this. But other than that, I hope that was a useful half an hour of me talking. Let's open up. We have 20 people on the call, so let's open up to some Q&A, if that's all right. Has anyone got a question? Of course, if you don't have a question, then that's okay too.
Elliot, it's Alex here. Can you hear me?
Hello, I can, Alex. Yes. Hi.
Great. Thanks very much. Really good. Very helpful slides. Fairly newbie on LinkedIn and finding my way with it. What do you think about? I mean, it's predominantly a professional portal, but I see more and more kind of personal comments and things like that about things on LinkedIn. And is it best to keep it quite straight-laced and straight back rather than commenting on things that are too personal, that could be offline on other social media networks? There's a lot of noise, if you like, that can get in the way.
So this is about the postings when people do, on your news feed, and there's a trend at the moment for people to, I don't want to sound flippant, but show their real selves and their emotions and what they're thinking at the moment, and then it starts to feel a bit like Facebook. Personally, I would stick to useful business tips rather than try to get too domestic about it. LinkedIn can be used to contact people that are, from a B2C point of view, if you're contacting people who, because you want to help them with their pension or what have you. But yeah, from the posts, I wouldn't post too much personal stuff. Keep it to useful tips about how you can help people or interesting insights. The one thing you should note, people may not know this, is that because we've all got lots and lots of connections, LinkedIn doesn't show your post to lots of people. In fact, it may just open it up to be 10% of the people that you post, that when you post, only 10% of your followers may see it. They will open it up more if people rapidly like it and what have you. But overall, posting in itself, you're not going to get too much engagement. Yeah, post something, keep it interesting, and then send people the link to that particular article. Say, I thought you might find this of interest.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Okay. I'm looking at the chat thing. There's thanks for attending, Joseph. We'll speak soon. Yeah. Is there any other questions people have at this particular time? Because if not,
hi Elliot, I've got a quick question for you, if that's okay.
Of course.
My name's Matthew. Just off the back of what you said then. Again, I'm pretty new. I'm a bit of a young technophobe, if you would. New to LinkedIn. I'm not very active on LinkedIn. He messaged me recently, which made me look at some stuff. So thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. Your 10 steps are very useful. Like I said, I'm part of a team who've just started to try use LinkedIn, and we sort of doing posts, trying to look active. So I didn't realise when you do a post, just sort of off what you said, then actually a lot of the people you connect with won't see that. Is that what's the sort of, I don't know, algorithm behind that, or why would they maybe not see that? Is it because they've chosen to only see certain things, or
it's purely about volumes now. So I don't know how many. I mean, you may only have a few hundred.
Less than that at the moment.
Right? But so you'll see if people are posting all the time. For some people, they may have, say, 1,000 connections.
Okay.
Way more than Facebook, right? Got a bit of echo. Sorry, can you still hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers.
Right. So if you've got if you've got 1,000 people or more you're connected to, and they're posting at regular intervals, it's just going to get too much noise. So they say, we're only going to show your post to 10% of people just to make it less noisy.
Okay.
Then if your post gets lots of likes, then it will bring it down. Sorry, it will open it up to maybe 20% of people, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, right, okay.
So
a bit of a popularity sort of
yeah.
bonus.
What some people do is they will, and we've done it a bit. It's again a bit of cheating the system, but you can do it. We have a separate WhatsApp group for a whole load of people, whereby we say, we've just put a post up. Can you please like it and share it?
Okay.
And therefore, that automatically then they'll go lots of likes very quickly and put links and go, oh, this is really useful. We'll promote it to more.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's all a bit gaming, but
yeah, like I said, there's strategy behind who sees what, and yeah, I didn't realise that. So yeah, thank you for that, answering that question. Cheers.
Any more for any more? Okay. Well,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. I
Good.
muted you before, but you've unmuted.
Oh, thanks. For the benefit of everybody else, this is Derek Zisman. I'm Elliot's father. So I'm one of the older people attending this WebEx this morning. I sit on various boards, and so I'm the recipient of many messages, people trying to sell me stuff. And I would perhaps respond to that by saying, and Elliot, you actually mentioned it very forcibly earlier on, and that is, don't send too many messages on a regular basis. They get zapped very quickly. I've got a number who keep it starts off, we know you're very busy, but can you spare me 10 minutes to speak? They're false. They don't get past me, for a second. I think the point is, people buy, you don't sell. And therefore, and again, Elliot, I just want to emphasize what you said. The point is, if you can give examples of what you've done with other people, that is very powerful, and that attracts attention. And the last comment I want to make is about staying in touch. And this actually goes against what I've just said, but when times get slightly better. I was at a big accounting firm for many years, and I used to do it myself, and I told all people in my team, there's nothing more powerful than picking up the phone to clients, and this is really existing clients who you may have lost a bit of touch with, but if you say, can we have what I call a no agenda cup of coffee chat, most of them will say yeah, because they want to hear your opinion, they want to hear what you have to say on particular matter. And when I used to do this, when I was in professional practice, I invariably came away, and these were one-to-one meetings, I should add, I invariably came away with something, a piece of work. And it was, while you're here or while we're chatting, I wonder if I could just ask you whatever it is. And that led to a piece of work. So those are just the comments I would make. I think it was a very good presentation. I learned quite a lot. And one of the things I learned was to keep my, update my LinkedIn profile, which I haven't done, but which I will do after this. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you a hand.
Thanks.
Stay indoors. Okay, thank you for that. Hope that was actually really, I hope that was useful comments from the other side, from a non-salesperson side of things. Any other comments, people, or questions people would like to make? In which case, I'm going to wish you all well. Stay safe. Oh, yep. Hello.
Would like to. Richard's got a question.
Oh, right. Sorry. Go on. Hello. Richard.
Hi,
Is that Richard Dawson?
Richard Dawson, were you did you have something to add or say or comment?
Hi, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Richard.
Hi. Really enjoyed your presentation. Just wanted to, when you talk about connecting, sorry, you talk about messaging on LinkedIn, well, the connection process as well. One of the things I've found over the years is that, as you rightly say, LinkedIn is not about the hard sell, and people are very resistant to the hard sell. So you quite rightly make the point about not over messaging people. And persistence and continual contact on an ongoing basis is very important. I think there's an important role, though, for building a more social relationship within the messaging context. So what I tend to say to clients is that, yes, you send them, you make a connection request, which you should always personalize. You get in touch with them, and then you keep in contact with them in I tend to talk about 6 or 7 contacts before you might introduce the subject of a one-to-one with them, I say either on Zoom or in person or a phone call. So it tends to be about adding value to that relationship and building your credibility and your authority in terms of your community before you find that people will engage with you in a more commercial way. That's my experience. Anyway, does that reflect what you find?
Yes, I think that whilst there's no harm in saying if you would like to chat, here's a link, or just let me know, then yeah, you're going to have a percentage of people. Most people, it's not, they might read your content and never actually reply or say thanks. There will be a small percentage of people that say, actually, this is great timing. I really need a new marketing agency. Yeah. Or I really need, actually, this is a problem I've got at the moment. And then then they'll be proactive, say, great, how lucky it is that you contacted me, not knowing that the laws of maths say, well, if I'm going to contact 2,000 people in a month, you know, a couple of them are going to want some help, right? So yeah, no, I agree. We've got to be really careful. There is a lot of spammy stuff out there.
Yeah, I think just one other quick thing I'd add is that at the moment, within the crisis, I found that I get a lot of feedback from clients who are very resistant, and more resistant than normal, within the crisis, to that. They're particularly annoyed by what you call spammy LinkedIn messages, and that's a reflection, I think, of values and feelings within the crisis. Whether that persists after or not, we'll see.
I think there's just more people doing it, so you've got to
yes,
get as with. Look, it's every single form of marketing, from a TV campaign through to an email to LinkedIn. It's all about the content, right?
Yes.
It's the medium is one thing, but if you just message someone saying, buy my stuff now, right? You're not going to get very far. So yeah, people are intelligent. They will, if you add some value to their lives in a way that is real, yeah, not false sincerity, then I think you're right. It will be helpful, and the right people will come back and say, oh, let's have a chat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks, Richard.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Every time I keep saying, is that all, someone else pops up with a question. So I'll say, I feel like one of those auctioneers going, gone, but is that all? Does anyone else have anything they would like to ask or comment on or discuss? Okay. Right. Well, I will stop the recording here, and I will wish everyone a very good day. Happy Friday. It is the weekend coming up. It may feel like every other day, but it is the weekend, so enjoy it. And yeah, if you want any more information, you know how to get hold of us. Thanks a lot.
Elliot.
Oh, Guy has a question about connections. What? Would you advise to add anyone? Guy, can you come off mute and just tell us what you mean by add anyone, like people that invite you? Is that what you mean? Or you inviting anyone? Hello, Guy. Okay. I guess the answer to, if you're saying, I personally would add anyone that invites me, just because it's my CRM system really, and you never know how people, yeah, if someone invites me, I'll accept, unless they're a real obvious fake robot. Yeah. But I would accept, because you never know where they're going to end up in the future. You never know who they know, how they're connected. And it's, I think, just useful. It doesn't change my life. In terms of inviting people, I would only invite people that I want to speak to for a particular reason. Yeah, it is not, I mean, obviously, you're going to invite your friends and family if you really want, but it's focusing on who do I want to speak to, using Sales Navigator, finding those people and adding those people. Sometimes you may end up adding someone that isn't very helpful. So what? There's a limit on LinkedIn of, I think, 30,000 people. If you get near there, and that may be a theoretical number that I don't know anyone's got that close. So yeah, add connections, build up your network. Thanks, Katie, for alerting me to that one. All right, thanks, guys. Okay. It's getting embarrassing now. All right. I'm stopping the recording now. Have a great day, everybody.